I don't really read the news. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 years, no, about 3 years since I really subscribe reading the news. I mean, I know it's the news, but I'll tell you more about why I don't intentionally read the news anymore. Breaking news updates, the latest scores, NBA, like what's hot in tech, the newest in showbiz buzz. I mean, do you really need all that junk like every single day? So I'm gonna talk to you about why I don't read the news and why it has helped me become more productive in my everyday chores. When you go online, you go to a news publication, it says breaking news. A 6.5 earthquake reported just a few hours ago in India. A man finally caught after keeping 3 girls in his secret basement at home somewhere in South Carolina. A huge forest fire in Sydney, Australia. Jennifer Lopez breaking up with Alex Rodriguez after, I don't know how many years, 3, 4, 5 years. Highest employment rates recorded in Philippine history. 38 people dead in mass gunfire shooting somewhere in, pick a state in the US. Or Somalian president, he resigns from position amidst rumors of corruptions. And one more, like, new world record for holding breath underwater. Okay, it's big news, right? It should be. It's so alarming. And at the same time, it's so informative, but it's useless junk. You don't need to know all those things because it doesn't affect you at all. Maybe the high unemployment rate, but I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always unemployed. I don't have work. Do you really need to know all these things like every single day? So some of the news, I just made those up, okay? Like the forest fire or whatever, the earthquake, I just made those all up. But some of them are true. Like Jennifer Lopez breaking up with Alex Rodriguez, like a friend told me about that. The point here is that this is the typical news you see every day in your entire life. So how does this help your daily productivity throughout life on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest? Comment in the comment section down below if the news has given you productivity in terms of helping you do your job. If you scored a solid 8 to 10, seriously, dude, you need help. All right? For the rest of us 7 and below, we are absurdly too well informed, yet why do we really know so little? We know so much useless information, but at the same time, we know so little. About 2 centuries has already passed since humans created the most toxic type of knowledge that we know today as the news. News. Compare news to the mind what sugar does to our body. It's very invigorating to the taste, easy to eat, easy to swallow, but highly destructive in the long run. A little over 2 years ago, I started a test. I started unsubscribing to all the reading materials, everything that I'm subscribed on my email, RSS feeds, pages that are about news, even in sports, listening and viewing type of news, especially in social media, all the social media platforms that I'm in. I removed all the bookmarks to news sites regarding genres from politics, business, sports, entertainment, and everything else. So it's empty, right? So even if I refresh my Google newsfeed or other apps that I had, which I deleted, you won't see anything. So furthermore, one thing, I took it to another level by I stopped watching the news on TV. So any national TV news or international news, I stopped listening on radio and on TV. I deleted those apps on my phone, from CNN to ESPN to local news channels that we have in the Philippines. I stopped touching any type of newspaper. So we used to have newspaper delivered to us, 2 kinds of newspaper delivered to our house every day. That's a lot of savings for me as well. Whether it was free or paid, I don't subscribe to any of them. In short, I don't read the news anymore. How do I know whatever is happening today? Okay, I'll tell you more about that. But first, it was very difficult for me in the first few weeks. Why? I felt like I was missing out on what was happening to the world, especially in sports, where I love watching the NBA. I mean, I do watch the NBA. Like, I watch the actual games. You can watch the press conferences before and after games. But eventually, after some time, doing this exercise completely changed my outlook in life. So what's the result? I now have more valuable insights. I make better decisions more than ever because it's not affected by the news and what they tell me. My thoughts are a lot more clear than it was before. I get to filter the junk through my friends. And with the news, my wife is the first one to be updated all the time when it comes to, oh, did you know that the president said this or this person said that and this and that? And when I go to my in-laws' house, they're all talking about politics and business. So I'm updated from what they get because, they inform me. They talk about it in front of me. So these people and my friends, my family, people that I talk to on a daily basis, they act now as my filter. So they give me the news. And now I get to choose which ones I want to actually listen to. If I don't want to talk about politics, then I'll just move away from the conversation. It's that easy. They all work as a filter. My family and friends, they keep me in the loop of what's really important. So like an earthquake in the province, in my province in Batangas City, or if like the Taal volcano explodes, my wife will be the first one to text me or call me like, volcanic eruption. Of course, she's gonna tell me that. But if it's somewhere far, far away from our province or not related to us, I mean, it's not that important really. My cousins who live there will text me about what's happening in their area. So that's another type of filter as well. You may think that I'm insensitive to it, but it's none of my business, right, to know about it. It's gonna kill off my productivity. My staff, my people, or whoever will say there's an earthquake going on in this country. I mean, of course, I'm gonna feel like I feel bad for them. My prayers and thoughts are for those who are the victims of tragedies or gun killing, diba, gun shootings in a certain area. My thoughts and prayers for those. But will it improve my productivity personally? It doesn't. Sometimes, we put out hashtags or pray for hashtag this country that had like 50 people shot. I mean, I don't have to know that because it doesn't affect me directly. But I'm sensitive enough to respect what actually happened to them. Those are two different things. It's not as if I don't care about them. It's just that it's none of my business. So that's the big difference between that. For example, like in the NBA, there's a big trade that happens in the mid-season or in the off-season. For sure, my high school classmates will tell me about it in their group chat in WhatsApp or in Viber. Another lockdown happening or when the lockdown is gonna happen or if they're gonna say we're not gonna wear masks or face shields anymore. For sure, 5 people will tell me about it right away. Do I need to know it firsthand? No, not really. Someone will tell me about it. It's people who will tell me what's happening in the real world. And that's where conversations really happen, right? Like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, thanks for sharing the information. Oh yeah, if you're enjoying this episode right now, subscribe to the channel would be delightful. Our minds react inappropriately to different types of information that goes out, like shocking, scandalous, like human-based, noisy, quick-changing details. They tend to like stimulate us. Once you understand marketing, what marketing really is, you'll never believe the news anymore. I'm into marketing, and that's one thing that we sell attention. That's what we do. Our business is to sell attention because attention is the number one currency in the world today. If you have the attention of everyone in the world, you get paid. That's money. Like, why do people care enough? Those Logan brother, Paul Logan, when he fights Mayweather or whoever it is, even if you know he's gonna lose because he's not a professional fighter, right? You're still curious. Like, you don't care about him if he wins or not, but you're still curious what happens. And you're still gonna talk about like, yeah, he's stupid and all those things. You're gonna say nasty things. End of the day, that's what the person wants. They want to sell attention. Okay, I'm gonna explain that to you even more. You compare those information to complex, abstract, and unprocessed information that sedates your thoughts. Another reason why you don't have to read the news, and that's why I read books. Because it's more managed, there's no distractions, there's no ads. There may be some ads on some books, yes, that's true, but I can flip the page and go on to the next page if I don't like what I'm reading. Or in the middle of my reading of any book, I can just stop and go to another book. One thing you need to know is this, and this is a secret not a lot of people know, is that news producers capitalize on scenarios that are small, make it sound really big. Like breaking news, images that are obtrusively bright, gripping story headlines, and sensationalized facts, all to capture our attention. It makes our eyes diluted. Like, kulat, diba? In Tagalog. Here's how the news money-making business model works. Like, why news media exists and why did they need to capture attention right away. Advertisers, they buy space that they can finance the news that revolves around it. This is with the condition that their news ads can be seen in between these articles or news. So what happens next is that whatever is simple, complete, abstract, and profound needs to be filtered out. So they try to fix that. Even though these stories that you have are more relevant to our lives or how we understand the world. When we walk around with a distorted or unorganized mental map of whatever happens and the various threats that we face out in the real world. This is the result of the news consumption that we take on every day. What's that mean? So I want to give you a news flash, right? And this is a huge one. News is not relevant. I say that again. News is not relevant. Why? In the next 365 days of our lives, if you would have between 5,000 to about 15,000 various news articles or about 25 to 40 types of news every day that you've read every single day. This is why I don't want to read the news. It's because it just consumes too much of my time for more relevant things in my life. Like, again, reading books. I read for about an hour in the morning before I hold on my phone, and then I read another hour. That's the last thing I do before sleeping. So I read another book. That's about 2 hours that I spend reading instead of spending 4 hours reading materials that don't even matter. Unless I'm like a newscaster or news reporter or sports analyst or expert, which I'm not. It doesn't matter. Like what? To argue with someone online on who's better, like, it won't make me money. Here's a test that I want you to do. I want you to name one news that's recent from the time that you watch this video right now. Name one news that's recent that has helped you make a better decision or like a good decision for your life, for your business, or for your career. Okay? I want you to name one news. Comment in the comment section down below how it has helped you. Most likely, you won't be able to give one for me. Then I want you to compare that to not having that piece of news. Chances are you won't be able to name more than 2 or 3 stories out of like 5,000 to 15,000 news that you've read for the past 365 days. You know what? It's a horrible percentage if you come to think about it. You've read thousands of news and then there's only 1 to 3 significant news that you really listened, watched, or heard. News source, they make sure that the information that they give you is competitive edge. Like, because you're first to get the news, you have the advantage over your friend. Millions of people fall for that trick. And the truth is, news consumption represents a real competitive disadvantage for a lot of people. If the news that we read help people get ahead, then you know who would be the first people to get very rich? I'll tell you who they are. It's journalists, right? Or the people who write the stories. Why aren't they ahead? Why aren't they ahead in life than most of us? Why aren't they billionaires, for example? If they're first on the news, right? They're first on the news to report to you what happens. They would be at the very top of the income pyramid, but they're not. In reality, it's the other way around. I mean, respect to all the journalists that we have in the world, especially in the Philippines, wherein, everyone's trying to get first-hand news. You're only getting paid a certain amount of money for that. It's not gonna make them wealthy in that scene. I mean, they love what they do, for sure. I know that. But that's the most important reason why I don't read the news. It's just a waste of my time. An average human will spend between 4 to about 8 hours in a day every week reading or watching the current news affairs or listening to the news over radio. Globally, imagine that. This would be a huge loss of productivity. I mean, use any recent terrorist attacks anywhere in the world that has killed about between 50 to 200 people. 1 billion people spent an hour of their time following the aftermath of that event that actually happened. It's awful. It's devastating. What a bad incident that happened in Paris or in the US or whatever in the world. Everyone spend their time 1 minute by minute updates and listen to these experts and commentators talk about what gruesome thing happened in that location. This comes out as a logical guess or estimate, but 1 billion people with 1 billion hours that was spent on news instead of working, that's staggering, right? Imagine that. 1 billion people spending 1 billion hours Instead of working, they're consuming something. That's why there's a quote that says, creators, they don't consume, they create. Consumers, they continue to consume content because they're consumers, right? It just explains the same thing. So convert this, and we learned that the news consumption wasted is at least 3,000 to 4,000 human lives put together. Multiple times more than the terrorist attacks. Is that sarcastic? A little. Is it accurate? It is. What I can guarantee you is this. Removing yourself from the news will benefit you so much more in terms of your productivity more than anything else. If this hasn't convinced you to curb that junk habit that you have, I don't know what else will. Spend your free time that you have instead to read books or read old articles on improving your health, your wealth, or your mindset. Books are so underrated in understanding how the world really works. Just imagine this, like everything that has been done in the past has been there in books. Whatever we put out now, like the content I even put out now, actually came from books as well. Most of the things I've written is just inspired by book, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's based on facts. Most of them are based on facts. So that's all I have for you today. If you found this episode insightful, make sure to subscribe to my channel and comment in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.